Hi, Ben. You are fantastic. I know, but thank you. Thank you for waking me up to the goddess I am. Yes, you are. Thank you for waking up. My question is, if my preference is to be with a certain individual in a relationship, do I disregard this particular person and only focus on what type of relationship I want, or can I imagine a relationship specifically with this person? If I do, am I disrespecting their free will? No. If you wish, you can imagine all you want that you're in a relationship with a person that would not impose upon their free will. So just to have that answered, no. Is it advisable to focus on a specific person? Depends on the scenario. This is a little tricky to comment on universally. In my experience, sometimes either one has been the case. What I can always recommend universally, generally speaking, is that you extract the essence from what that person represents to you, right? So you meet this person and you're head over heels and you're so in love and it's so awesome. But why? Why are you head over heels? Why are you in love with that person? What do they represent about you vibrationally that you long to experience? That's always a safe bet no matter what. Now, I'm not saying you cannot specifically then unleash your powers and demand that, imagine nation-wise that you end up in a relationship with that specific person. You can do that and it can work unless it's absolutely not relevant for you and the lessons you want to learn from a higher self point of view are not at all to be learned in that experience. In fact, they may be learned through not getting what you desire, and therefore that will empower you if you use it wisely, if you use it from appreciation and from knowing that ultimately you are the chooser and creator of your reality. So you can try it out and you'll see how much resistance there is when you do that. If there's a lot of resistance to imagining that specific person and it doesn't feel good, you're just like polluting your energy field and you're polluting your reality. If it feels really amazing, why not? Use that as a symbol. Imagine that. Let that free up your state of being. Increase your frequency. Allow that symbol. Use that symbol. Don't just allow the symbol to do something for you, but you use that symbol consciously, intentionally, to raise your frequency, to master the game of vibrations, so that you can be in the state of what they represent for you, whether or not they actually come your way, physically speaking. Now, if you extract the essence from what they represent for you, then it's even very likely that something else will show up that is cutting edge at that stage, that's next level at that point. Relationships are not necessarily meant to last very long. Necessarily. I know that's a very present idea in our society, but it's not very grounded in vibrational understanding. I'm not saying it can't. I'm not saying that sometimes it's not relevant for two people to spend a lifetime together. Obviously it is. But I think that overall we're idolizing this idea of an other person fulfilling us or representing, not seeing that it's a representation and really feeling like they own our happiness, they own our joy, it's inside of them. If you reach that stage of misperceiving your happiness, misplacing your happiness, then it's very helpful to re-own your happiness, to realize that that's not the case. If you don't do that consciously, your higher self will do it for you and you will get separated somehow, so that you can realize that it's not in that other person. Makes sense, right? It's very logical. So if you actually want to be with that person, be that person. Does that make sense? Be what they represent. The vibration that they represent to you, be that person in your own energy field, and then you'll be a match with that person or whatever is even better for you that you can now have access to because you stepped up your game, because you integrated and learned from that essence that they represented. Right? Cool. So don't be too attached. It's okay. There's plenty of fish in the sea. Dry your eyes, mate.
Relationships changed for you recently? Oh boy. It's always been, it's always the main learning ground anyway, to fine-tune oneself and to practice. It's perfect practice. It's been great. I'm not sure what to say about it at this point. It feels very empty and in the most beautiful way. I just feel love and clarity that I don't want, or that I don't accept concessions anymore. So maybe this will be interesting for some of you to share. the purity that I know that I am now has never not been the case. It's always been there. Having been reflective of people all this time, we are like a mirror. When you become empty of self, at least to a high degree, you will start reflecting everyone and everything around you. It will not be your own stuff. No worries. So you become a mirror. And so everything that is placed in front of that mirror, the mirror will take on that shape. And then, that will be mistaken. Whatever is reflected will be mistaken to be me. Do this for long enough and surround yourself with the same people for long enough, and you start to become these people. You start to become like them. And the authenticity can start to be dimmed. This is what happened for me. Just too much exposure to other people, constant exposure for years, constantly reflecting others, and them believing that those reflections are me, reflections of me, when they are not. And I'll still stand by this to this day, no matter what anyone says or believes. But it's very difficult for someone who's not empty to understand how this works. So the support for this is very scarce still in this world. And so over time, this has weighed on me. And this was part of the same thing of being able to teach at a certain level. But part of this has been my own delusion of making concessions out of remnants of insecurity, meaning sort of the youthfulness of this body and the looking at other people and giving other people credit when really I should. I mean, in a sense, I should, because it's not necessary. And so this were remnants that would seep in and that would make me feel like I had to make concessions in order to be able to be with another person so that they wouldn't feel weird. And this is still the case, but now it's empty. Now it's remembered that this is what I chose to do. And so it doesn't matter anymore. I can do it to whatever extent I want to. I can mirror the other person or actually not mirror them to whatever degree I desire in each moment. And I'm very aware of when it happens, when the reflective mechanism happens. So now I don't feel like I'm responsible for any of these things when I'm in that state, which allows me to maintain my freedom and my sense of clarity and my purity.